I'm going to look at analysis in Nike, which suggests a bearish bias. Now, I identified this opportunity by looking at the cycle low timing tracker. Nike is down here in the in sync box. Generally speaking, symbols in this box are expected to show weakness and or suffer breakdowns because the timing of their daily cycles aligns with a period of time on the weekly chart when we expect a low to form. And you'll see what that looks like when we look at the chart. A couple other askSlim tools that you can look at for confirmation of the bias: the Slimulator ranking system is here, shows bearish bias in Nike, and the askSlim momentum tracker is also showing very bearish in Nike. It's right here. So now let's switch over to the chart. This is the weekly chart of Nike. On the bottom, we have a dominant 26 bar cycle, and it is broken into minor half cycles. And these cycle brackets are a drawing tool that help us visualize the money flows into and out of a symbol. The vertical black dotted lines show us where the cycles formed their lows relative to the ideal cycle troughs shown by the cycle brackets. Over here on the right, we have blue vertical dashed lines that show the period of time around the next ideal cycle trough when we would expect the current intermediate cycle in Nike to form a low and begin to move up again into the rising phase of the next cycle. And that period of time runs from February 12th to March 22nd. Notice that our proprietary momentum indicator, the reversal scout that Slim was talking about, turned negative right here after this large bearish candle, rejecting from the 78.6% fib of the previous cycle. Now, our initial target here is at the 78.6% fib of this cycle, and that is around $96. Switching over to the daily chart, you'll see more clearly the weakness that Nike is experiencing. We had a negatively configured previous cycle, meaning that it ended lower than where it began. Then Nike couldn't even get up into the resistance zone in the rising phase of this cycle before breaking down below the cycle low support. So we have created this minor resistance zone using the fib tool on this presumed cycle high and this low. And we've gotten up into that zone today. So we would expect this area to hold and for Nike to move back down into the cycle timing window here, which is projected from February 9th to February 20th. So now that Nike is trading up into this zone, we want to see this area hold and for price to turn back down and give us an entry signal. That would be a momentum continuation to the downside signal down here on the slim ribbon PO, and or a return to negative momentum on the 2-hour chart. I personally tend to look for both as confirmations of each other. Now, there are a couple things to pay attention to here. Look at these notes that RV put in. These are important to pay attention to. There was an adjustment to this cycle earlier this month, making it 1 bar shorter on this presumptive low. He also put in a repair level at the current cycle peak. If we got through that level, it would suggest that this is the low of the prior cycle instead of this earlier one. And that would not change our bearish bias. Look what happens if you put these back to the original 26 bars. It lines up perfectly with that low. So as I said, that would not change the bearish bias that we have in here, but it would change the levels where we would look for an entry, and it would push this daily cycle timing period out by about a week. So this is February 26th. It is still syncing up with the weekly cycle timing window when we're looking for that intermediate low. So that's why it's not changing our bias. That intermediate low was from February 12th to March 22nd. This fits within that time frame, and that's why it's on the cycle low timing tracker. So if this is the rising phase off of the low, it is still certainly not impressing us with its strength. So we'll keep an eye on how Nike behaves here. As far as option strategies, Nike currently has a low IV rank that would suggest long premium strategies. So you could buy a put around, I like to use around the 70 delta. You could also look at other strategies such as a put debit spread or even a put zebra for a stock replacement strategy. So I'll be updating our members going forward with regard to an options trade idea in Nike.